What's up, friends? It's Flake here, and I haven't really done a card review as they've sort of been being released. Price of Power was announced, revealed. The cards are slowly trickling out as a lot of the Gwent community are now just sort of dropping the cards themselves, and Price of Power seems to be pretty damn cool, given the fact that what we've seen so far is pretty unique and powerful in themselves. So I figured, why not do a little bit of a breakdown of some of the cards that are coming out and give them a very unique rating system that you will never see anywhere else. Fully approved as well, I might add. So we're going to be walking through some of the cards and maybe talking about them real quick, and I haven't really put much thought into it. Please do not take anything that I say here too seriously. I am a notoriously bad judge of cards, if it were. My assessment of cards in the past has been pretty awful, so take this with a grain of salt. If there's any little bits you can take from this, well, so be it, and hope that your assessment of the cards is a lot better than mine. But the first one that we want to talk about, of course, Price of Power, is the name of the expansion, which is going to be dropping in segments. And the first segment has a few cards. I think it's like four from each faction. And the first one I want to talk about right here is, bam, Fabian Hale from Syndicate. It is a human and witch hunter. 4 strength, 8 provisions. Has the Intimidate tag. It's boost by 1 for every crime that's played. Deploy. Place a bounty on an enemy unit. If there is already an enemy with bounty, gain coins equal to its base power. Now, the bounty system, again, is if that a unit is destroyed, you gain points given based upon the base strength of that unit. So the base power is pretty much the same. The base power bounty exchange for coins is pretty much the same. Now, place a bounty on an enemy unit. If there's already an enemy with bounty, you gain coins. So it's kind of like an instant bounty collection as it is. Now, the old system, I think, was, before it got changed, was that bounty, you can have as many bounties on the board as you wanted, and now I believe the way that it exists is you can only have bounty on one particular unit at a time. If you put bounty on something and then bounty on another thing, the bounty on the original unit gets removed. So in this case, let's say you want to switch what the bounty is, you can go ahead, drop Fabian Hale to put bounty on a new unit, and you'll be collecting the coins off of it. Now, what's cool about this is that you don't have to kill that unit. So the setup for this card in general can be kind of interesting and unique in itself, in the same way that you put a bounty on let's say there's 2 units on the board. One is super tall, could be a 9-point unit. The other is super small. You put the bounty on the first unit, which is small, knowing full well that it's going to be tough for you to actually kill the second unit, the 9-point unit, to fill your bank fully. So you set it up in the way that bounty goes on 1. Let's say you play Slander on a smaller unit, and then you follow up with Fabian Hale on the bigger unit, and you'll immediately collect that big amount of coins. So it's a nice little workaround if you suspect that you just won't be able to actually kill some units that like to boost or protect or whatnot. It's a good way to just go ahead and collect a lot of points right out of the gate, coins rather, right out of the gate, which you can then spend and do what you will. Syndicate is definitely not my forte. There's a lot smarter players there who have a lot more reps with Syndicate to sort of give a better evaluation, but that's kind of my first assessment of it. The 4 to 8 strength to provision is quite weak, in all honesty. You do have the Intimidate tag to sort of follow up, so you can play something like Fabian Hale and follow up with some crime cards to go ahead and maybe kill something, whatnot. I feel like this might fit nicely into a deck revolving around bounties, but more specifically, maybe this wheels into something like an old school line Pockets, where you can go ahead and fit in a bunch of crimes and kill those units that are necessary to be killed. And, a nice way to sort of turn coins into points, spitting out that kind of translation of, coin into points with a Fabian Hale on the board. Let's give this, and here it is, by the way, the brand new system of rating. We're going to give this one 3.5 Shinmiris out of 5. 3.5 Shinmiris out of 5 for Fabian Hale. Let's go to the next card here. It is also a Syndicate card. It's called Hysteria. Hysteria. It's a special card, 5 provisions. Place bounty on an enemy unit and damage it by 3. If it already has bounty, double the damage. So here you're sort of doubling up on bounty. It could be a 6-point damage card for 5 that you're going ahead and adding a bounty to something. The problem with doubling up on bounties, I feel, is that you're kind of you're adding work into something that you may not like to use. I mean, it's a 3 damage card with that adds bounty. Is this better than Slander? Potentially. I mean, you could put this on a card that is already damaged to go ahead and just put the bounty, deal the damage, get the coins, etc. Syndicate is usually not always the easiest when it comes to just finding points out of coins. Now, I could be wrong there. Decks like Pirate's Cove that can just go ahead and profit massively with Siggy, use your leader ability to drop a Sea Jackal and then profit, as the meme goes or the saying goes. In this case, however, it's going to feel a little bad when you have to put a bounty on top of a bounty to deal 6 damage with a 5 provision card. Now, 5 provision 6 damage cards exist like Assassination, wherein, if there's a card left alone on a row, you can deal 6 damage to it. I don't know if Hysteria is going to be all that fantastic. I give this card 1 Shinmiri out of 5. All right, we're going to move on to another Syndicate card. This one is the Witchfinder. So we got a lot of buzz around it. The Witchfinder is a human and witch hunter. Those are the tags associated to it. 7 power, 7 strength, and 12 provision. So it's a big one. She's a big girl here. Deploy, spawn 3 Syndicate Crowns. At the end of your turn, if no enemy has bounty, place bounty on the highest power enemy unit. Now, this does have some implications if you do play Hysteria, because this is just automatically going to slap the Witchfinder is going to automatically slap bounty on the highest target, highest power unit, enemy unit anyways, so you can always follow up with something to go ahead, like the Hysteria, let's say. Picture the Witchfinder more so as like an engine to a degree, as she will constantly be adding bounty to the highest unit, which then on your turn, you can then go ahead and kill it. So the bounty will exist, and then you can go ahead and start working at it. So you won't necessarily have to waste cards to go ahead and actually apply the bounty tag onto something. She'll do it yourself. Now, sometimes it's hard to just go ahead and kill the highest unit if it has bounty. So it's going to take some work for this to sort of find its jive. I feel like right out of the gate, if this is the first card placed, if you're on red coin, let's say, playing Witchfinder is not bad, because it's going to be rare that your opponent's going to be playing something super huge early on that you can't handle and then kill the bounty and go from there. But I want to talk more so about the extra part here, which is the Syndicate Crown. The Syndicate Crown is an artifact, Doomed Zeal. It's basically order, gain a coin, and banish itself. So why is this cool and why is this awesome? Well, this sort of allows you to just stretch beyond the 9 coin cap that you already have, because you can't profit over 9, but having these coins on the board allows you to reach beyond that. So beyond the 9 point cap you have, now you suddenly have access to 12 coins in one foul swoop. Now, where is this awesome? Well, Sea Jackals. Sea Jackals are going to be awesome, because typically with a Sea Jackal, you're going to click the button on the Sea Jackal for 3 points at 9, and then again at 7, to get that 1.5 points to coin ratio. But with the Syndicate Crowns, you'll be able to actually use these to get more efficient clicks off of your Sea Jackals with the Syndicate Crown. So not a bad way to just go ahead and get above your cap. Again, the Syndicate Crown, what are the downsides? Well, I mean, it's going to take up space on your board, I guess, if that even matters. But I feel like these are going to be coins that you're likely going to be using anyways. They don't have resilience. You can't carry them over to the next round. And it'll allow you to keep your bank account healthy, so that when you do go from round to round, you're not losing too many coins. These are going to be probably the first things that you might want to spend, and they're fairly safe. Your opponent is not going to play a heat wave on this. Obviously, you're not going to have anything that disrupts any sort of artifact or whatever. I feel like this is a perfectly okay and awesome way, actually, to just sort of be able to spend coins beyond your natural ceiling of 9. So what do we give the Witchfinder? We give the Witchfinder 4.5 Shinmiris out of 5, which puts it, ladies and gentlemen, in the we can't lose range. Yes, this is a certified we can't lose. Again, Syndicate Crown, awesome card. All right, next up is Vigilantes. Vigilantes is another Syndicate card. I think we've seen most of the Syndicate cards, I think, by now. Basically, it is a human and a witch hunter, 4 for 4, so it's the low end of the pool. It's that 4 provision space that's always crucial to decks, is getting value out of those. Whenever a bounty is placed on an enemy unit, damage it by 2. This is an excellent engine for a bounty list, and a lot of lists in the past have kind of experimented with bounties, but they've never really found a sweet spot for bounty decks to be good on their own, to sustain a bounty synergy throughout. There have been cards that have utilized the bounty tag, but you've never really seen a tier 1 deck or a really strong deck that has really dug into the bounty system. This is great help, given the fact that you're dropping a bounty on a card, or whenever a bounty is placed on an enemy unit, damage it by 2. Well, where does this actually come into play? Well, you add this with the Professor, and the Professor suddenly is now doing 6 damage instead of the 4, with help from the Vigilantes, meaning that you can play the Vigilante early, and as you're sort of playing bounty, sure, the Professor comes through, adds the bounty, deals 4 damage, the Vigilante comes in, helps out by adding an extra 2 damage, and suddenly the Professor is giving you 6 coins and 6 points of damage off a 6-point body for 11 provisions. This is a great helper card for that faction. Can you find it? Will this card see any help otherwise? Is there anything else you might want to do with the 4 provisions other than play Vigilantes? I suspect that once these cards are released, people are really going to dig deep into the bounty system to see how far these cards can really reach and how far that whole archetype can get you. But for what it is, for the help of the bounty, this is a very, very, very good card, good helper card for bounties at a cheap price and a semi-respectable body at 4 points. I mean, what else could you really ask for? If you place 1 bounty on a unit, it's a 6 for 4, which is what you kind of want to get for those 4 provision cards. The value you want from a 4 provision card usually ranges between, around the 6 and 7 mark. Anything beyond that is exceptional. I'm going to give Vigilantes 3.5 Shinmiris out of 5. All right. Next up is casting content, which is fun to say, given the fact that I'm a caster and I'm using Shinmiri, my co-caster, as a rating system, so that's always fun. Casting content is a spell. Boost an allied unit by 5. If it's a bronze, reset its order ability and give it zeal. So this is basically kind of like a mini Viraxis for a bronze unit. Boost it by 5, and if it's bronze, you reset its order and give it zeal. The first thing that comes to mind here is the Gerhart Marine, which can boost something by 4. So it's kind of a 9 for 5. The thing about it that I don't like is that you're gonna be hard set to find a lot more value off of this. I mean, you could. There's that. I forgot the name of it, and I feel terrible. But there's that movement unit for Northern Realms that you could potentially reset. You boost and reset so that it can, you move a unit and it stops gaining power, right? It stops ticking 1 point per turn. Whereas if you do reset it with the 5, you'll be able to not only start the engine ticking again, but you have also unlocked another movement. The Gerhart Marine is likely the best option for this. Now, I don't think that this is going to be a good card. And the reason why is because when it comes to Northern Realms and synergizing bronzes, it's usually engines that you're going to get more of the attention and more of the value. Pairing up two bronze cards together, like in this case, casting content and the Gerhart Marine, is fantastic because those two really work well together. But that means you have to mulligan to find these or get them in your hand and play them, which you typically are not always looking to do. And it's a one-shot deal. So if your Gerhart Marine dies, you're going to have a tough time playing the casting content as a 5 for 5, and you're not going to feel great about it. However, there are alternatives, such as, the drummer, the Temerian drummer, and the Tridem infantry. Those are paired up cards, paired up bronzes that have significant over time, a significant returns over time instead of just a one shot for 9. 9 for 5 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, it's great, and I think that this card will get experimented with, but I think it might lose its luster after some time, given the fact that you're going to need to find the Carrick Marine to get its full potential. And, those peanut butter and jelly kind of combinations of drummer and Trident infantry are, in my opinion, better options, frankly, for pairing up 2 bronzes for a lot of points over time. So I'm going to give casting content 2 Shinmiris out of 5. All right, we've got another one coming through here. I think this is the last one that we can preview. It is Gerhart of Ale. Gerhart of Ale. It is a human. It is a mage. Ooh, we're getting mages, ladies and gentlemen. 7 body, 11 provisions, zeal, and patience. We'll talk about that in just a second. The order is create and play a 4 provision spell. The 4 there is in kind of brackets, and there's a reason is because there's a new keyword, ladies and gentlemen. The keyword is patience. Patience is at the end of your turn, if order is not used, permanently increase the card's specified value by 1. And in this case, the specified value is the value that's in those brackets, those square brackets. So at the end of your turn, if you have not used the order, that 4 becomes a 5. And if you notice, it says permanently. So the permanent status means that, I guess if it's I don't know, if it's locked, I'm trying to wonder where that permanent status kind of comes into play. You can't exactly renew this card, right? But I suppose if somebody is to Yen's Invocation it, it'll keep it. If it's trying to think, I'm really curious as to where that can have implications. Maybe I'm just sort of letting this fly by upon first look. But this is a card I really want to dig into because this is a really good card. Out of the box, you're looking at it. Well, let's say you were to play it with Zeal. I wanted to walk through the sorry, let me just drop these in. I wanted to walk through the actual options that this card can get you. Again, Gerhart is a pretty decent return out of the gate because even with the 4 provision option, and we're going to talk about exactly what those options are as we take a look here. We're going to go through the deck builder. Now it says create a spell, not a special card, and that's a very significant distinction that we need to make. So if we look at the actual spells that you can get, now this has been confirmed that it's not just a faction-specific spell, it's any spell. And it's at the end of the turn, the 4 becomes a 5. So if you were to play it off of Zeal right away, what do you get? Well, you're getting a rune word or you're getting a pact. And between the two, the pact is significantly better. It's boost the unit by 6 and give it doomed. So let's just take a quick look. Right out of the box, it's a 13 for 11. And that's a really good return. If you're looking at other cards that could have that kind of ceiling, something like Falibor has a 13 point value as well. The problem with Falibor is you need to have a very specific setup to get full value. For Gerhart, however, just the turn you play it, it's 13 for 11, and the Pact can be played wherever you want to play the Pact. Now, if you were to wait a turn, you're going to get some other options, and one of those options is Will-O-the-Wisp. So at the 5-spot turn, Will-O-the-Wisp, Forbidden Magic, Alzur's Thunder, Artifact Compression, and I guess if we're really paying attention here, also casting content is a 5 provision spell. So you're going to have 5 options. And these options at 5 are actually pretty decent. You're going to get something fairly useful. Now, Alzur's Thunder is a nice option to take. It's just a 5-point zap. Artifact Compression can really save the day in certain cases if you need to reset something and lock it. This is really, really decent. For instance, a Sea Jackal, a Saul, something along those lines. Also, Forbidden Magic is a little bit more circumstantial, given the fact that you need to find a two-spot unit to kill in order to get the Revenant out of it. And Will-O-the-Wisp, destroy a doomed unit. That's going to be tough to figure out, given the fact that your opponent needs to find a doomed unit. Now, there do exist something like an Abomination out of Skellige is doomed. If your opponent's playing If your opponent's playing Keltulis and they use a pact on a non-veiled unit, you could do it. I guess Savola, Arnulf, those are some of the bigger ones as well. I think those are doomed. So you will have options if you want, but this is likely the least chosen option. However, this might hit a home run if you need it. But you're really probably hunting for something like Alzur's Thunder or Artifact Compression in most situations. And if not, honestly, getting the casting content out of it and picking up a 5 boost is not the worst case scenario. Now, moving on to 6, the 6-point spell that we know of is Stammelford's Tremors, and in certain cases, like Elf Swarm or Arrakis, this could be very big too. You're dealing 1 damage to all enemy units. That's not bad. In 7, Necromancy, play a bronze unit from your graveyard and give it doomed. Little less awesome, but still doable. It's when we get to the 8th spot that it really starts to get a little bit better. It's Sabrina's Inferno is like the worst one that you could probably play here. Damage each non-Spectre unit. That's both sides, yours as well. If any were destroyed, repeat this ability once. So it could potentially swipe for 2 if you're killing stuff, but you're probably sacrificing units on your own board or taking damage on your own side as well, because who plays Spectres? It's just not a thing yet. We don't know what other cards are coming out. Becker's Rockslide, fantastic. This is going to be a good one to have if you're patient enough. Again, keyword patience. If you're patient enough, you can go ahead and get to 8. It'll take you 4 turns, but your Becker's Rockslide is going to deal 8 damage, or you could punish something with Dark Mirror that's super boosted, or if it's on your side, if you've taken a bunch of damage on one of your units, you can maybe rescue and translate some of that damage into actual body and boost. And then Alzur's Double Cross. Go ahead and get another body. Why not? And it's going to be a big one too. And finally, Last Wish. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Play one, banish the other. That's a little bit more risky, given the fact that you might not draw what you want, or you might draw 2 cards that you really want, and one has to go the way of the dodo, and boom, gone, vanished. So at the 8th spot, it's good. Now, 9 is where the money lives. 9, if you can get there, is where you have a myriad of powerful options. You've got Triangle within a Triangle. Boost an ally by its provision cost, or damage an enemy by its provision cost. So right out of the box, if you want to wait till 9... it's going to take, right now there's 4 options, so you might low roll the Discover/Create for the Gerhart. There he is, but you could just boost Gerhart by 11. And now you have you have a 18 for 11 play if you have the patience to hang on to that zeal, to hang on to that order ability. You got Curse of Corruption as well. If you're playing against something like Keltulis, and you're able to actually protect your Gerhart somehow. I say somehow because Keltulis lists like to crap all over your hopes and dreams. But Curse of Corruption can go ahead and burn something, or you roll a Yen's Invocation. Long story short, of these, you're finding one super tall removal. Be it Curse of Corruption or Yen's Invocation, you're going to yoink something that you really want, or you're going to deal some damage with Curse of Corruption. Or you could boost your own high provision or damage their high provision unit. Or you've got Marigold's Hailstorm. Deal damage 5 units by 2. This 9 spot is like the sweet spot because it's going to take 5 turns to get there, which is totally doable in a relatively short round. For instance, if you're going into a round 3 with 6 cards to play and one of them is your Gerhart, then this is perfectly fine because you'll get here, and this is going to be a big turning point towards the end. Otherwise, everything on the top end here, I feel like Ragnarok is not really going to be good. So getting to 10 is not all that fantastic. As awesome as Cataclysm can be, you're not seeing the full return on this because you're going to have to wait till, I guess, you're going to have 3 turns left for Ragnarok to hit. And depending on what side of the coin you're on, you might only get 2 ticks of Ragnarok. So it's really only 6, maybe 9 points if you're lucky for that to get. Whereas you're probably better off with just hitting with 9s. You want to be really nasty, you can wait till Scorch. Finally, Renew, Han Marvin's Blue Dream are kind of not all that fantastic. And if you play Gerhart on your first turn, survive all 10 turns of that round, you can spawn an Owneromancy and get that wheeled in too, which is just I want to see it happen. but it's probably going to be not only super risky, but incredibly difficult and unlikely to pull off. So I know that we spent a lot of time on Gerhart, and you had it here, and I mean these are the main cards. Triangle within Triangle, Curse of Corruption, Yennefer's Invocation, Marigold. Like you could even create a tier list in itself for the spells and the number provision list that that Gerhart can go ahead and spawn and create. Whereas 9 seems to be the ultimate power level because it's completely doable in a short round where there's like 6 cards. In a very crucial round, you can get there. It's not a pipe dream like Onorancy is. It's not super circumstantial like Renew. It's not tough to get to and potentially dangerous like Scorch, or again, you can roll the dice with Uma's Curse. It's not a waste with Ragnarug. This is your wheelhouse right here. This is the great spot. And if you want to, depending on what you're playing against, 4 is immediately great if you just want to drop the Zeal. And 5 has some pretty clutch options as well, some control options. Then you have your Anti-Swarm, some control elements or tutoring here, and there you go. But really, 9 is where you want to, set your foundation and really make a play. So all in all, Gerhart is so far probably the biggest impact card that we've seen of the reveals. There's plenty more to go. I give this card 5 out of 5 Shinmiris, which is a guaranteed we cannot lose. Yes, this is certified we cannot lose.
We can't lose! Oh, fuck.
There it is. And there's plenty more to see and plenty more cards to come, my friends, as Price of Power is just a wonderful set that's coming out. Again, it's going to be fragmented in several different, it's going to be blocked out in a few different chunks, but we're going to get some nice content over time here. So thanks again for watching, taking care of this. And again, don't take these too seriously because I know nothing about this game. You don't want to listen to me, do you? Anyways, be kind to one another. I love you. Catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/watchflake, twitter.com/watchflake, and all that other jam. Love you.